All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my strategy for bass fishing with a swim bait. I'm trying to target the bigger fish, and people say location, location, location with real estate, but that's the way it is with bass fishing too. The big bass they're efficient and they want to be lazy. And so this spot has everything a big bass needs. So I got a whole lake. It's 1,800 acres, I think. But this is the spot that I fish all the time because it has everything I need for a big bass. So just out past this grass, it drops off to like 40 foot. Right over here, there's a flat, okay, and about 3 or 4 foot of water. Then it drops down, a ledge right there. So big bass can spawn here. Big bass can trap shad in this grass up in this beach area. Big bass can eat bluegills and things that are living in here. There's oxygen here because of this grass. So this is an ideal place to catch a big bass. And so this is a spot that I target regularly. I don't go around in my boat and fan cast the whole lake and blah, blah, blah. I drive my car right here to this spot and I fish this grass because this spot is going to have a big bass in it. So that's the thing, you know. Once you find a spot, you know, and the thing is it takes a while to find these areas, you know. Like I went out with my graph and I can tell how deep things are. Over there, it's shallow all the way in there. And so for a bass to reach that grass, they have to travel a lot farther. So that grass right there doesn't usually have big ones in it. On the other side, by the dam over there, sometimes there's decent ones in that grass, but again, they have to travel further to get to that grass. Here, they don't have to travel very far. That's why this is the biggest bass spot in this area. And so this is what I'm focusing on. So what dictates what I'm going to fish? You know, I'm not like, oh, this bait catches big fish, I'm going to throw this swim bait, I'm going to throw that. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about presentation to me. When I'm approaching a fish, it's like, how can I get a bait in front of that fish? How am I going to hook that fish? You know, that's what it's about. It's like getting that fish to react to something and being able to hook and land it. And so a lot of times they're pushing shad into here. They're pushing, they're eating the gills that are in here. So I rigged up this burrito shad with double hooks on it like this, so that I could basically fish it like a frog, because I catch them on a frog in here regularly. And so, you know, that's the deal. It's like presentation. How do I get a bait in there? You know, I could come out here and limit myself to a bait. So I see guys do this a lot. Oh, you know, I want to throw a glide bait. Depths 250 is a bait that catches giants. So I'm gonna throw the Depths 250. But if you don't have the right conditions to do it, it's pointless. You know, that's the thing. You got to find the fish first, and then think, how do I present a bait to those fish? So there were actually people chopping a tree down right behind me before. I don't know if I'm going to get bitten here today, but you know, with this stupid burrito frog, if I can get it in the holes in the grass, you know, to them it's just a shad that's sitting on the surface. It doesn't have to swim awesome. It doesn't have to anything. In this situation, it's just getting the bait in front of the fish, having some movement to it so that it seems like it's alive. They see it, they react to it, and they eat it. Because as you can see, this bait really doesn't, I mean, it kind of flops the tail. Well, it doesn't do a whole lot, because that's not really what it's about in this situation. Presentation, how do I get that bait in front of that fish in a clean way where I can get bit on it, is the deal. So it's a time and a place deal. One thing I like about being on foot is that I can hit this spot, leave, hit this spot, leave, hit this spot, go on my lunch break, hit it on my way, hit it on the way to go pick my kid up from school. I can hit this spot over and over and over again on foot. That's why you see me on foot a lot. If I find a spot that I think has the right stuff to catch a big bass, I'm going to hit it as often as I can, because it only takes me 15 minutes. A lot of times I'm out here for 15 minutes. I walk up to my spot, make a few casts, figure out the timing, boom, and then I get a good one. You know, I don't want to take my boat out where I'm just going around the bank all day long for 5 hours. You know, that does not interest me. And so that's not what I'm doing. I'm hitting stuff. I'm being efficient on the water so I can figure out the timing. And then, you know, that's how you get the big ones, is right place at the right time. And so I know the place. And, you know, once you catch a big one there's going to be big ones there. I mean, unless this grass dies off or something. You know, for the most part, there's going to be big ones there. The contours on the bottom of the lake don't change very often, you know. So the grass does, the water level does. So those things can have an effect on it. But for the most part, once you find a spot, then you just got to figure out the timing, you know. And then if you catch a good one there, then you know that's the right spot. And then it's always just a matter of figuring out the timing, you know. So right now we are a few days past a full moon. Yesterday I got a good one in here. And, you know, last new moon I got a good one in here. And so it's just a matter of, is it going to be at 4 o'clock today that there's a good one in here? Is it going to be at noon? That's when I usually hit it. We got nice cloud cover today, which is good. And so that's it. Find those spots and then find a bait that you, oh, there it is. That's another good one. Told you. Jeez. And there she be, folks. That's probably, that might be pushing 7. I didn't bring my scale today naturally, but that's the one we just got. Find the right place, the right time. It's noon. I'm telling you, a lot of guys. There you go, girl. That's a big one. You know, when that bite window is, when those fish are going to move in there, boom, boom. They don't stick around long. That fish are going to move in, boom, boom, and then they're out. So find the place, find the time, and that's how you get the big ones. Okay, so in between moon phases, that's when I'm going around covering water, throwing conventional stuff. That's when I'm fishing, you know, all over the place, trying to find new spots, trying to figure out what the fish are doing. So in Indiana, this place that I fish is Morse Reservoir. It's a very, very tough fishery. I mean, it's like the most bipolar fishery on the planet. I mean, it's bad. But the deal is if I'm not throwing conventional tackle, I don't know what's going on with the fish. That's a big problem. So, you know, a lot of guys, you know, some places you can, I'm sure there's plenty of guys that live on fisheries that are awesome. They can throw swim bait all the time and catch them and know what's going on. But I don't get feedback from a swim bait in between moon phases. I don't get those big bites. I don't get fish interacting with my swim baits in between phases. And so I don't know what's going on. If I'm not throwing conventional gear, I don't know what's going on. So I'm always in between. I'm throwing jigs, I'm throwing worms, I'm throwing everything, trying to figure out where the fish are positioned, trying to figure out what the fish are doing. So when the moon phase hits, I'm ready. So it's usually a few, maybe 3 or 4 days before a new or full moon and after. That's the sweet spot. So if the weather's not right, ain't gonna happen. You know, if there's too much boat traffic, it's the weekend and it gets crazy out here, not gonna happen. So, you know, there's a lot of conditions that matter. But today it's overcast. We had a bunch of rain a couple days ago, and so the water level's up a little bit, and that's why those fish are in that grass, because we're about 2 or 3 days after a full moon right now. So in between the moon, you know, not so good. That's when I'm scouting spots, figuring stuff out, and so that when the moon hits and the weather's right, I'm ready. I just go right to my spot and I catch one. You know, I don't have to go around when the weather's right and the moon's good, wasting my time trying to find out what the fish are doing. I don't waste my time with that. When the moon hits, I'm already ready because I've already done all that homework in between. So that's just an efficient use of time. So when the moon's right, boom, go to your spot, be ready. Now, usually, historically, noon is like a time that I catch them. I've caught more big fish right at noon than I have any other time. Another time is 4 o'clock. That's probably my second time. I catch so many big fish at 4 o'clock. Noon and 4 o'clock. Those are my two favorite times. Later on in the fall, you know, then you start getting more bites in the evening, like 6 o'clock. Earlier in the spring, right when the sun comes up, usually like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, 9, 10, 11. In the spring, there's usually a good bite. So different times of year, there'll be different bite windows. All summer long, it's noon. That's my favorite time. So that's when I went out today. That's when I got one. So anyway, that's my strategy. Figure out what's going on in between those phases. That's when I'm throwing my conventional stuff. That's when I'm throwing all the crap. That's when I'm catfishing. Even catfishing will tell you. Catfish will move similar to bass. So if you can, you know, if you're catfishing, oh, there's catfish up shallow. There's probably going to be bass up shallow. So I mean, any kind of fishing that you can do to gather some information so that when that moon phase hits, you're ready. That's what I do. And then just, you know, once that moon is right, the weather looks right, boom, 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 go out there as much as you can in your big fish spots, and that's how you do it.